I too have the power of a god.
I got loyalty inside my DNA. I got loyalty inside my DNA. I got peace, got war and peace inside my DNA. I got pros and pain and joy inside my DNA.
死んだ天性
I was born in this world. Immaculate conception, not your hate. Perform like this was shout you want the weapon. I know you. I meditate and humble. It's that I got loyalty inside my DNA. I got peace, got war and peace inside my DNA. I got pros and pain and joy inside my DNA.
いい加減おとなしく切られやがれ
I was born in this immaculate conception, not your hate. Perform like this was shout you want the weapon. I know you. I meditate and humble. It's that against the pain. It's that I got loyalty.
いつもからキレキ一切穴があったら入りたい
Loyalty inside my DNA.
Dog, I'd be so locked in by the time it hit Zoro. Like, I'm like, what's happening next? As if, like, I haven't seen this intro before. Always so, like, hype every time we come back for anime court. Like, how you feeling today?
I mean, what's there not to be hyped about? It's anime court. We're not here anywhere near as often as we should be. So, yeah.
Listen, that's because y'all always got me up on some bullshit trying to put somebody up, and then I'm up there trying to like say, nah, Jack Skeleton's the bad guy, and everybody's like, well, what about them Crocs, my boy? What are those? What you wearing there, my man? It's like, oh, I'm wrong for my fashion sense?
You are.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, we can't trust the man who's running around in Crocs at the con. That's.
I was comfortable.
And therefore untrustworthy.
Anyway, as an untrustworthy man, I am Maul, your favorite friendly neighborhood menace. Today, I am on trial for my life with my friends, my co-hosts, my amigos. I am joined by today. He is known in these streets as the bad guy, but really, I like to call him Fluke the villain. Introduce yourself for him one time for the one time.
What's going on? It's me, Fluke the villain. Actually, today it's not Fluke the villain. Excuse me. I had to change my name at the last second there, but I don't have enough time.
Can you do that midstream?
I got it. There you go. I'm the judge.
He can do that midstream.
Impartial.
How come I can't do that midstream?
Impartial. Unbiased. And if you think so, then you're wrong. Man, that's all that is. How y'all doing?
I can't do that midstream.
Huh? What?
Listen, these are villain powers, all right? Sometimes you gotta be the bad guy to have some extra powers when you OP like that. But sometimes you're just a nice guy from Ohio, and you just come to put the bad guy on trial. Denzel Crocker didn't do what this man's about to tell you he did. But go ahead and introduce yourself before you start slandering lies.
See, we're gonna stop you right there because right now you're kind of proving why you get done at cons the way you get done at cons, because you come without evidence, you come without facts.
Objection!
I have evidence, my guy. I can show you how this is going down, and you're gonna have to fight. And yes, you are gonna have to fight for your life. But as he said,
That is the most Aladdin thing you've ever said. Telling me you're gonna show me the world?
What? No. Just these couple of exhibits that we have time for. Don't try and make me think logistics while we're on the air. What's wrong with you? I will go down a fucking rabbit hole.
Listen. I don't ever challenge you in Disney songs after that one panel we went to with all of them, and I look over and you know everything.
No. That whole operation was your idea. don't do me like that. I'll
Hey,
go
you
to
know
the
I love a good
panel.
Disney sing along.
But no, I'm actually in here as the plaintiff. You got Denzel Crocker, fairly out parent. That's who we're trying to get justice for all of the kids that he's hurt.
Mm.
Yeah, no, don't mind me. I'm just but I digress. And then so is it on me to present my case first, I think? Is that how this works?
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
usually it's me that speaks, and I'm like,
all right, so we got a couple of charges here. First and foremost, this one might not necessarily be a crime, but it should be. It should be. We don't have to. We got to talk about how Denzel be treating his kids in the classroom. First and foremost, I'm talking berating them, attacking them, even if it's a situation where they are actually doing good work. I mean, he's out here giving Fs for no reason. Like, is it a situation where all of these tests are hard or anything along those lines? Or is it just a malice that this particular teacher has towards children to abuse them on a regular and consistent basis? Like, every day. Like, parents are sending their kids to school to get taught. And here he is actively abusing them in the classroom on a regular and consistent basis.
objection, Your Honor.
No.
Circumstantial should have been brought up to the Board of Education.
It's not. It's
let him
circumstantial, though. He's
I
actively
understand.
out here doing this. Your Honor, I believe I've already presented evidence in this matter.
Probably did. Is it Exhibit 8 here?
Okay, let's get started with a test none of you are prepared for. A for AJ. F! And now I think I'll run a marathon. But first, fairy godparents, fairy godparents, fairy godparents!
So
now, keep in mind, in that class, there's that class grading average. I don't know if you've ever noticed the rest of those NPC-like character kids, but like one of them lives in an actual trailer park. And none of them actually apply themselves, and Crocker actually tells them that. But the one that does apply himself usually gets an A. And let's be real, the one black kid in the class is getting an A, and all the white kids getting an F. Why do you see a problem with that? He's clearly getting a quality education in an unsubstandard situation. And the principal don't say shit.
He's definitely, none of these kids are getting the quality education. That is just one of the many examples.
Objection, Your Honor. AJ builds rockets and robots.
AJ is probably the only kid in that class that's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Not necessarily as evidenced here by his teacher.
So can I ask you a question?
You're clearly not prepared. The teacher just said you're clearly not prepared for this test.
Now hold on.
As a parent,
hold on now. On one end, that is right. He did give them a test they weren't prepared for. He did not give out all A's, all F's though. He gave AJ an A because he was prepared. Now, if I am correct,
Your Honor, with all due respect, he gave AJ an A because of the fact that AJ be doing his own work.
Or is it because
the boy is a prodigy? You can't.
So why didn't the rest of the kids do their work?
Because
it's not on the teacher.
This is not a failure on the children. If anything, it's a failure on. It might be a failure on the parents, I suppose. But even then,
so you can't blame the teacher then for him not teaching.
Even then, that's a fail-safe.
First and foremost,
the parents are sending the kids to school to get the education that they're supposed to be doing, and he's not doing it. Not only is he not actually doing his job there, but did y'all see him at the end of the class? The man is clearly off of his meds. Like, how are we supposed to have a teacher, quote unquote, teaching these students, and this is the constant result. Like
So
I said,
you're telling me an overworked, underpaid, middle-aged adult that has to deal with, let's say, 15 to 20 10-year-olds, one of which that is actively messing with his life, not kind of putting a thumbtack, not, ha ha ha, I'm gonna mess with the teacher's chair. No, I mean actively making this man go crazy to have a mental breakdown in his classroom, and he knows it and can't prove it. You think this man has a problem? But yet he still shows up every day to make sure that them children get an education. And AJ is getting one, which was being proven by the fact that he was unprepared for the test. You yourself have said he was the only one doing what he was supposed to do,
outside
and
of
then he got an A.
outside of the classroom, clearly his education is taking place outside of that room.
Now hold on, everybody, pause for a
So that
second.
means he's taking pride in himself and still getting an A, and the rest of the kids aren't. They have the same advantages he does, of which Timmy and Chester both come over to his house, and neither apply themselves to be able to do what AJ does.
So let me throw something in there for both of y'all for both of y'all to get real quick, so that we're not obviously throwing out just random stuff. That test was for a subject that they were not prepared for. Who knows if it was even something they studied for? Unfortunately, for both, first off, I don't know why you want to be defendant for this guy, but let's besides that. AJ is a actual genius. I don't know why he's in that class. Obviously, it's for failing students, which is really weird. AJ is also rich, so he's not just getting, and we can assume, right? We'll try not to assume in the court of anime law, but he's probably getting tutors on the side because he's already a genius. He's rich, and the house that they go to is a mansion of a mansion. So he's getting all the
AJ's house. We know he isn't getting tutors.
But then you got to think about this, right? Teachers don't get paid. I'm just throwing this out there. This is not true. This is just me being a judge and applying wisdom. Teachers don't get paid a lot. Am I right?
Not nearly as much as they deserve.
Right.
So then, and look, like I said, I'm just throwing this out there. But y'all continue. Are you sure that the reason AJ gets these A's is because he's smart and not because he's getting paid on the side?
If Mr. Crocker were making that much more money, he wouldn't be living at home with his mom.
Who, what he spends his money on, right? All the fairy gadgets and detecting, and you know what? I'm not gonna say anything else. That's all I wanted to put out there. Just information that I've.
Way to be impartial, Judge, because this evidence was never presented to the court.
I've given you.
I'm objecting to strike that from the record.
Objection! Me as the judge. I'm giving you.
Oh my gosh!
I'm just not giving you both information.
I need you to understand.
I
will keep jumping over.
This is why nobody can take you seriously, man. You out here attacking the judges.
I've given you. You're not.
The judge is attacking my client.
I've given you both information to use. You didn't catch it. I've given you both information.
Your Honor, I've told you. At the end of the day, this man is poor. Everyone in this town is poor, except for the few rich people that do live there, and the well-off live around them, and they show off their money. They're all still in the classroom. It's not as though these children are paying attention. You have Trixie Tang, who is so self-absorbed with herself, and everyone around her who's telling her she's so pretty. Then you have the other girl who, we're going to circle back to this, but I have a theory that she might be a fairy godparent for Trixie, because no one else in the school has pupils except for fairies. Like when you look through the whole thing, and she has pupils. But we'll circle back to that. I've watched a lot of Fairly Odd Parents over this last week. Anyway.
Yes.
All the kids in the class have the same examples and the same timing. Crocker is actually there trying to teach them day in and day out, whether he hates it, whether he should have gotten fired, whether he's up on some bullshit. Even when Crocker showed up to take over the world, guess what Crocker still did? He showed up to work. Crocker came in to work to teach these children. If for nothing else, he does his job.
and even in that circumstance, which again we're gonna get to, because there's a whole slew of issues when it comes down to him in that particular scenario. Like, the man was a whole supervillain, still really out here being in terms of his job description, just handing out F's to everyone. Not to mention, in that same scenario, he's actively being racist.
You mean in the world where his student wished that the whole world were superheroes and supervillains? Because in a world of superheroes, there's always balance.
And you know what? And in a world where he is, you know what? I'm paraphrasing here, but if you want to see the true character of a person, give that person power. And what happened when Denzel Crocker got power?
Well, I might have the evidence right here.
Crimson Chin! Wrong! The Nigger Chin! The Crimson Chin's arch enemy!
Now I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to ask here, because now I don't know. What was it that he just said? Who did he just describe? It wasn't the Crimson Chin. It was the who?
What would you have called that man?
The evil Chin.
The first thing he did,
the nega Chin.
Lick of power. But he got a lick of actual power. Let's drop the N word.
So listen, I'm not gonna hold you.
I want to proclaim him as innocent because I understand how it's like to teach students. Because I used to do a little tutoring back in high school, so I need to understand here. I feel like this doesn't sound like him, and I want to make Crocker innocent. I just need an explanation on what's going on here.
Listen, Crocker's from a different time, all right?
A different time.
His Call of Duty lobbies must be crazy.
Because you asking me to defend the man from the 70s and his ethics, or are you asking me to defend the man in a legal system? Because I can't defend the man in his ethics and what he said. I heard it, you heard it, we all heard it. He said the nigga thing.
And that's what I'm trying to say. In that same episode, we also have him running around destroying the town and giving people F's at the same time. You say he showed up to work. He showed up to work to fail people and abuse them and kill their self-esteem on a regular and consistent basis. Sir, I need you to, Your Honor, this is open and shut.
Your Honor, most of Fairly Odd Parents is under the perspective of a 10-year-old. We see most of Fairly Odd Parents take place through the eyes of Timmy Turner. Why? Because Timmy Turner is the main protagonist of the show. And I say protagonist very, very lightly. Because in a lot of cases, Your Honor, where he's saying this is open and shut, it is very open and shut. Because let me tell you why. Let me tell you who really should be on trial here. It is not my client. My client is innocent. My client was done dirty. My client was wrong. My client was bamboozled into some shit that he didn't even ask for. All he did was walk out of his house one day and someone said, why is my teacher the way my teacher always is? Why does my teacher do the stuff that he does? And he wanted to know how his teacher went from this kid on the top, nice, normal kid, full head of hair. Look at that smile. Look at that smile. And that looks like that called me a nigga chin.
I was gonna say that according to the last bit of evidence, we can see that he favors a certain type of person. So maybe he was excited
to see that type of person.
Yeah.
But so not this type of person.
Maybe he could be racist, or maybe he's the racist against the people that aren't getting A's.
Well,
is what I could say. So
some 10-year-old came back in time to when he was 10 in 1970 something ish, because it was very vague. And maybe this 10-year-old met up with other fairies. And these other fairies caused this 10-year-old to go from here to here. See, what could make a man's ears drop to his neck?
That is actually
That whatever it was.
What
That is
could cause a man to have scoliosis and bad knees at 10? Yo, his teeth rotted out at 10. His eyes went bloodshot. He knew, yo, I'm fucked. Do you only get theories when your life is so miserable that the universe has to add a balance, a magical balance, to say, yo, my boy, this is crazy, and I can't believe this is happening to you. That's how bad Crocker's life was. His mom wanted to be a disco queen in the 70s. Disco queen in the 70s was real good slang for Nickelodeon for saying she for the streets. Now, I'm not saying this about his mama, right? Because I don't know her. But all I know is Crocker never came back with a pops. His mama was out here outside in the 70s just leaving him. His mama been doing this since the 60s.
I'm sorry to hear that his dad went to go get milk and never came back.
I'm not even sure she knew who the dad was. You never seen a dad. You never had it mentioned.
His mama was a loose woman, for lack of a better term. My problem with what you're doing here is, though, you're doing a whole lot of
humanizing
everybody else's fault except his. At the end of the day, yeah, he might have gone a little crazy, but at the same time, we live in a society where one can, see past whatever delusions you got going on, be it therapy or medication, what have you. And it's a situation where he was clearly trying to teach children without his meds. So why are you I get that stuff happens, but you've got children, right? You really?
Right, but if my child had a mental breakdown that left them to look like this at 10?
My point is, if you're in a position where they're acting out, you correct the behavior because you're an adult. Denzel Crocker is a whole ass adult in most of the scenarios here. I understand that he had a rough childhood. I understand that things may have conspired against him at the end of the day, but you might not be able to control things around you. You can control yourself. And this is what he chooses to do to himself. No. Not to mention, we have I know he's on meds. Like, the man thinks he can be running around invisible. It's a problem.
So his issue is that his own mind is telling him this doesn't exist, but it does. His reality was shifted, but not by his own matters. His life still sucked enough for him to warrant having fairies and never have any help or anything come. His life went from very beloved child, the town loves you, everybody knows who you are, to everyone hates you for the next 30 plus years of your life. And then one day this kid shows back up, the same kid that cost you everything. 30 years as a 10-year-old. And you expect them to just be like, you get a little power and they'd be all right. All the trauma, all the bullying, all the life is thrown at you, you'll be okay.
Again, you can only control what you do. And Denzel Crocker chose not to control himself on multiple hits. Matter of fact, formal charge that needs to be added onto this list is there's a list. just
then he can go back in time. Just fuck with Crocker, decide that he wants to change everything, and then continuously change this man's life until he breaks down his psyche. You can tell he's crazy, and you're still trying to charge him instead of just making sure he gets the mental help that he deserves.
So are you going for an insanity plea, sir?
Absolutely. So that man needs all the help that he can get. He knows his reality is shifted, And there's nothing that anyone can tell him otherwise. And when they did, and he was cured, Timmy made sure that he would not be cured and that he re-broke his psyche.
This is not a trial on Timmy. This is a trial on Crocker.
It's not.
But it's a trial on Crocker, and his psyche was fixed. He was fine. And then he knew.
That's
The
exactly
events that happened.
this is my point from earlier. Timmy is a child. Denzel Crocker is not.
Let me
Timmy is a child being influenced.
Because it sounds like you want to defend Timmy in a later date, Dwight. But let me. So there's always been studies on a kid's morals and like how they develop, because they can be sociopaths at a young age, and that can lead to a whole bunch of other problems, which Timmy has displayed countless times. So I'd be careful with that. It sounds like you want to defend him. Now, I understand that, because a child can drive a grown man, a grown adult, insane. On the other hand, I mean, it's quite true. I've seen it plenty. On the other hand, Jamal, are you saying that Crocker had a mental break and it's caused him to act the way he has acted for all of Fairly Odd Parents?
I didn't say it's proof. Is that not proof?
Okay, so then now this is the other question that I have to follow up with. Are you saying that it's okay to let this mentally broken person be in charge and teach the younger generation?
Absolutely the fuck not. He should be locked up in a loony bin until he is sure that, I am straight, fairies don't exist, and I need to be a good person. There was an episode where that happened, and he was good. And that showed you what Crocker's life would have been like if he had well adjusted to the fact that he aged out of having fairies and no longer needed him.
Okay.
But right now, due to the fact that he never got that path, he never got to see.
I actually have just off the record, a lore question. When did he age out of having fairies? I thought Cosmo.
He lost his fairies.
He lost his fairies. So when Timmy went back in time to go see why Crocker was the way he was, he brought the fairies back, and then because they were both there and they interacted with each other, then basically that was enough for Jorgen to come back and be like, there are too many fairies here, and someone's losing their fairies.
What happened was Timmy is the reason why Crocker lost his fairies is because of Timmy. Because he decided to go back to that time. Because time travel works weird. But because he decided to go back to that time, which was already predestined, Crocker was meant to lose his fairies and become who he was. So technically, yes, the fault of this is Timmy.
Okay. So, again, one of the things where the universe does kind of conspire against you, shit happens, for lack of a better term.
He was 10.
How did you deal with
You're telling a 10-year-old without therapy to get through that.
Hold on. How do you deal with it? Do you realize that while, yes, something is incredibly fucked up around me, I have no memory of what it actually is. I can either not give a fuck about anyone or anything about me. These children that are in front of me, fuck these kids, man.
The town, not fuck these kids. The town is facing you.
I'm gonna give them some random high schooler nonsense, and then 15-year-olds aren't gonna know what the fuck it is. Or
I will drop some more.
I should probably go seek medical attention or therapy or something, but you know what? Nah, these fairy godparents.
I will drop some more divine, either side, unbiased knowledge, right? Do you think there's a reason as to why Crocker really doesn't like Timmy? Do you know why? Because you lose your memories of your fairies.
He doesn't like him?
Yeah, he doesn't like Timmy. And he's always had a weird feeling about Timmy. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like, there's not times where
you just look at a person and you have random smoke with them. I understand that. I understand that feeling all too well as a human being. My problem is Denzel Crocker is acting on it, and the boy is a child.
So you got to understand. Please bring up that picture one more time. So you got to understand that he was like this, right? And to what I am seeing and hearing from the both of you, he turned from this to this. He was fine, and if he lost his fairies, he still would be picture top, not picture bottom. What happened was he lost his fairies and lost his memories of the fairies. There's one person he didn't lose memories of. Can you guess who that was at that time? Because Timmy's not a fairy. So when he never saw Timmy again, and he went back to his life, and he realized his life sucks because Crocker's not exactly the best teacher that they got, but he's a teacher. He sees this kid in his fucking dumbass pink hat, and he's like, I don't know why I like this bird, but he's so suspicious. Something about him reminds me of Fairly Godparents. So I'm like I said, I'm just dropping knowledge. I'm not.
It already sounds like you get it, because
no. I'm just trying to understand. Unbiased in nature.
It sounds like you get it to me. Like you were just saying that when, like before he saw Timmy again, he was still a terrible teacher.
Nope, that's actually not true. He was a good teacher, and there's evidence of that too.
Do you have any evidence on deck, or that you can show me real quick?
So I don't have evidence on deck, but there were episodes to show that he was a good teacher. So like the principal mentioned it, and there wasn't like much to go on. I think she had like a few pictures, but like it was also weird because he looked differently than what he does. So it was like one of those things where like they mentioned it as a one-off like gag joke, but when they animated it, it didn't come out the same way that it should have when they went from storyboard to animation.
I was about to say, I feel like I remember some sort of a Waterboy-esque moment where Denzel Crocker was one of the greatest teachers out there. Before his whole mental break.
I'm sure he was at some point. Like, I'm sure he doesn't just go his whole career and he's tired and everybody gets an F.
But no one doesn't give everybody an F, which is great.
If he did, then his whole class will be full of like older kids.
He's not handing out incredibly hard work. Maybe he handed out incredibly dated work. Maybe he never changed his standards. Maybe it's a situation where these students are getting Fs because we no longer, are teaching the same type of shit that we were teaching in the 70s.
That's also not true because you see him update his curriculum in the episode where in the special with the muffin, where the world kept switching, and he was teaching based off of what the world was and how the world works and what it was that they were going over. It wasn't as though they were learning anything crazy. Like it would always be simple math questions and equations up like 2 + 2. But it was Timmy. And that showed that Timmy wasn't ready for anything complicated.
Hold on. Your Honor, I believe. He's one of these exhibits has an example on the back on the chalkboard. I believe it's the only one that you haven't posted yet. Just go ahead and show this, because first off, he in the wrong in 5 different ways in this clip in the first place. But just
this one right here.
Yeah.
The naked one.
Yes, that one.
Sorry I'm late. No point in getting dressed anymore when you're invisible.
Ah! Make it stop! Ew.
Wait, you can see me? Ah! I'm visible again! No wonder Mother screamed when I hugged her last night. Ah! Who rerouted the Dimmsdale 500 through the hallway?
So aside from the fact that he was running around naked, that's a whole nother can of worms. Did you see the board? It said 2 + 2 = fairy. The fuck is this man teaching these kids, man? How is it a situation where we don't even know if the children are actually smart or not?
Is that equation not That does 2 plus 2 not equal the same fairies?
I don't understand.
That is not, sir. Not
Just
the
saying,
2 plus
Your
2
Honor.
same.
Yes.
Is that not the 2 plus 2
that
that equal
not,
fairy?
that is not how that works. 2 plus 2 is in the form of numbers.
Now, if I were to
A
be
universal language.
2 plus
A
2
universal
equals
language.
4.
I'm just
2
saying.
plus 2 equals 4. Hold on now. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's do some real math here. 2 plus 2 is 4. How many fairies are on that screen just now?
4.
All right. We're going to have to do some. I don't know. The only thing that I'm really understanding
You
here
cannot
is
spider math your way into this. Fairy doesn't even got 4 letters in it. It's 5.
now there were 4 fairies.
There were 4 fairies, Your Honor.
Yeah, there's 4 fairies. I'm starting to believe that maybe Crocker could have turned out differently if we went down a different path. So I don't. Aside from him now currently being a terrible teacher.
A terrible teacher and insane. I'm not saying that this man did nothing wrong. I'm saying, Your Honor, that this man deserves a second chance. I'm saying, Your Honor, that this man was wrong from his childhood. This man was chased out of town, meant to be hated. All that man did that day is wake up. When the time paradox happened, it struck him the hardest. He was affected the most. No one else was affected the way he was based off of Timmy's actions, and still currently affected by Timmy's actions. Every day he goes to work, and every day he has a mental breakdown. Could you imagine showing up to your job every single day to have a mental breakdown?
I have to say,
and the world's trying to charge you as a criminal?
I have to say, as much as that goes, he shouldn't be in the position he is in. Proper background check and all.
But that's not his fault. That's their fault. He was hired.
No.
And then kept into that position.
That is partially true.
If you're in a position where you have all of that going on in the first place and you know you're kind of the nexus point for all the bad shit in the universe, you might not want to put yourself in a position where you're around other people's children.
Can I ask you a question as a parent?
He does indeed know. I don't know.
Nice man from Ohio.
I wouldn't know.
If your child came home complaining about their teacher, if your child's consistently failing, if your child's constantly getting an F or getting harassed by the teacher or has homework that seems like they're above what their knowledge is, are you never going to go meet this teacher and find out, like, what's up? When the teacher comes over to your house and is snooping around or doing something weird, especially near your wife's butt, because he did that, would you not say something to this teacher?
No, definitely we're talking to the teacher. I'm not going to say that none of why Denzel Crocker is getting away with what he's getting away with up until now. I'm not going to say that that's not on the parents. It is. The parents also need to be brought up on charges, but that's a different trial. We're trying to figure out if Denzel Crocker is culpable for his actions or not. I think he is, because at a certain point, personal responsibility has got to come into play. This man not only is actively abusing children, he's appearing before them naked. That's a problem in itself. He's teaching them things that aren't
the man can't get a break,
correct, and then that are mixed in with his delusion. And if you're telling me before the situation with Timmy Turner actually showing up, he was actually a decent teacher, in order to actually get to any place like that, you gotta have some level of self-awareness to be able to go ahead and actually, try and tell somebody how to do something else. Just at some point the buck should have stopped. And ultimately, if it didn't stop anybody else, I'm not going to blame anyone else. Denzel Crocker not taking care of himself. No, he's got to go.
So Denzel Crocker was let down by a lot of people along the way, and all of these same people protect the kid who now gives him a mental breakdown. This man is screaming and crying and having breakdowns, screaming, fairly godparents. At some point, we should do something about that beyond just giving him a shot and saying, night, night, crazy guy. We're calling him crazy. He goes and gets his mental health check. He goes back to work and he has another breakdown. He gets another job. He doesn't work there anymore. The same kid follows him. He's having a breakdown. He gets a girlfriend. Breakdown. No matter what he does, Timmy shows up and Denzel's having a breakdown over fairly godparents. If Timmy wasn't there, would this same breakdown happen? No. So the problem isn't in him. The problem is exactly in the person that he's having it with.
So let me ask something here. As this being a trial, he needs to be charged with something. If there is one thing that he can be charged with that you can audibly say and that you can audibly defend, what exactly is the
indecent exposure, menacing, abuse of a child, multiple counts of it, however many kids was in this classroom.
Is there any way that you can defend these, at least a couple of these? In fact, if you can bring out, and we've already talked about these, if you can bring out an additional charge that we can really slap onto him that we can properly defend him with, is there one that you have? Out of all the things that he actually has done, whether or not they were because of the grand design of Timmy Turner being an asshole, which we already know this little kid's a danger to himself and everybody else.
I mean, I'll concede that, but I mean, as far as my charges, no. Those are the only three that I actually felt like all the way comfortable with. I will admit that Denzel Crocker is in some cases a victim of circumstance, but I mean, we literally see him whenever he gets a situation, wherever he finds himself in a position where he's got some sort of power over someone. He's a bad actor. He does things that he's not supposed to do. I understand he might be a little nuts, but at a certain point, nah, you know what you're doing.
A little nuts is, you have a breakdown, you dye your hair, you cut your hair, you do something crazy. This man's ear shifted to his neck. Like, it went from his face to his neck. Do you know how much stress you have to have for your back to hunch over and your knees no longer to stand straight up at 10 and your ear to shift? The town hated him. This man went from love to my mom doesn't love me, but everyone else around does. My life is okay. I'm doing a better job in the world. I'm making the world a better place. That was always his goal. That's why he became a teacher. If you're asking me to defend the things that he's done, if you're asking about indecent exposure, he was made to believe that he was invisible. If you were made to believe you were invisible but not your clothes, and you didn't know how or when you get turned back, you take off your clothes too, because otherwise people will try to hurt you or take advantage of you. So that can't be on him because he's thinking he's invisible. He didn't ask for invisibility. He didn't make himself invisible.
That's something that you ought to know by now. It's not possible. That's on him.
How is that on him if he is a teacher and he just became invisible? So you're either asking him to believe that fairly godparents are real or that he can't.
That just goes back to proving my point. He is a teacher that thinks that he is invisible. Why are we letting somebody who is supposed to be a teacher,
why did he go to class,
who could be giving out information that is patently incorrect,
you
has answered? 3 + 2 does not equal fairy. The formula to making something invisible is not whatever the hell he tried to justify it as. Magic, quote unquote. No.
Or less should have asked.
Crocker needs to be held responsible for his actions. If that, at the end of the day, looks like him getting mental help, I suppose, yes, that's true. But you've also said earlier, we've gone down this path before. We've seen him when he is not on some sort of a psychotic break, and he keeps finding himself back here. So whatever we're doing originally is not working. I don't think the system can handle Denzel Crocker if he's going under and doesn't understand he played. Throw that man into prison, lock away the key, or whatever, however that saying goes.
Listen, you're trying to lock a man up who hasn't done anything wrong. He's being terrorized by the neighborhood terrorists, and you're locking him up.
The man is not a victim.
How is he not a victim?
He is not a victim. Just because he was victimized does not mean that he has to go on to abuse others, which is what he's chosen to do.
So showing up naked to his job, which, again, he came to do his job. The man didn't show up to terrorize his children. He came thinking he was going to do his job.
Listen to yourself. He was okay with coming to
wait a minute.
Naked.
That's the question that should have been asked: is if he flat out knew that he was invisible. If he knew that he was invisible, and I understand he had a job to do, if he can't turn his invisibility off, he expected to go to work invisibly.
He gave his mama a hug and expected to go back to work and do his life. He's like, he was surprised. He wasn't doing anything maliciously.
I understand that he was surprised, but think about all the steps that he had to go through to get to fucking work in the first place. He had to make the decision after realizing that he woke up this morning not being able to see his body. That was like, you know what? Instead of actually, one, putting on something to, cover myself from the elements, two, letting people know where the fuck I am, or three, touching somebody with, bodily contact with your dick hanging out. Yes, your mother is going to scream. No, you shouldn't be running around like that in general. And it's a situation where you're going to be around children that are shorter than you. Put your dick out.
If he doesn't show up, he does not have another teacher. Who's going to teach his class if he's not there?
At that point, it's not up. At that point, it's not up to him to be up to the principal. But if he plans to go to school naked,
but that shows how much he cares. He showed up to do his job.
he did.
I care if he's teaching my children what they're supposed to learn, if he's grading them fairly, if he's treating them well.
Right, but as he's invisible,
he's not treating them well. He's not grading them fairly, and to add insult to injury, he thinks it's okay to be naked around my children, visible or invisible. Problem. Problem.
So, indecent exposure beside, right? He can't be blamed for his mental break and showing up to school naked. Yeah?
He cannot be blamed for the break, I suppose, but he can be blamed with how he reacts to it.
Yeah.
He got hit by a car in the school. That also was
the fact
Dimmsdale is not a safe place to be.
The fact that the Dimmsdale 500 was rerouted through that school's hallway has absolutely no bearing on this case today. Denzel Crocker has video evidence that he needs to sue. I will concede that. But that's not what this is about.
This man is consistently a victim. Like, consistently just getting his ass whooped. And we're still putting him on trial?
Yes, because even I think that even as a person who's gone through what they have gone through, I don't believe that it's still okay to act the way that you do instead of trying to find the solace in the people that support you, because his mother never stopped.
But he did. But he did find solace, and Timmy still found a way to break his psyche to the point where he could not go on.
I'm talking about, let's say before that. I'm saying before that. We'll drop it up to maybe day month one of having his fairies and Timmy being Timmy, I feel that even before any of that, he should have been trying to not do any of that.
Right. But you can't tell a person when to grow up or when to decide for yourself that you're fucked up enough that you need therapy or you need help. When he got to the point where he felt as though this is endangering or this is a problem, and you have to see that for yourself, then he went to get help. You're saying this as if he did nothing the entire time
No,
and playing it as if this is only the situation up until, and we're calling it day one, he did something, and every other day he was A-okay, then that'd be fine. But you have to include the times where he tried to get help.
okay, we'll include that, but that comes after the first thing. So we're gonna add it to like a list of the pros and cons. So we'll just like a one and a one on this side and one on that side. So this shit happened to him because of Timmy. We'll put it on this side as that's not his fault. He's still acting crazy. He's still doing this thing. Timmy's still not allowing him to be a normal person. He went to get himself ostracized. Timmy's still being Timmy. Regardless of how we're going one or the other, he still has to try to be good Crocker, then not good Crocker, I guess. Well, we could treat it like Ye. He's trying to be Kanye, but Ye's peeking out. Regardless of whether or not that he is the good person, that's not up to him. He's still doing these things. Is there a on record where he did something good to where he didn't? I guess there was nobody that could actually stop him from doing what he was doing. Like any good sort of deed that he did. I'm begging here.
No, this is why he deserves
I don't
to do
think.
it.
Hold on, because I don't think so.
So anything after he was 10, no. But before 10, as he had his fairies, Crocker was a good kid. And that was on record. So on record, they would show that Crocker was a great kid. He had a great, like, solid life, even though his mom was always gone.
I don't know. I've heard of, you know, I've heard of really nice babies growing up to. Well, there was no way I wasn't going to pick that up. Anyway, I've heard of really nice babies growing up to do some really, really terrible things. Just saying, you know.
Tell you what, I'm gonna count
an inordinately large amount of them came out of Ohio.
I'm gonna count this as a good D for Crocker. He gave him a D. Instead of an
Your Honor, I rest my case. Like I said,
I'm sorry. As far as that's below satisfactory, but it's still got some satisfactory. And he passed with a D. He gave Timmy a D. Crocker might not be too crazy.
Or Timmy might actually be applying himself. Like, you also have to remember that Timmy's favorite books were like Sight and See and Sort and Find books. Timmy was very below what should have been at 10 years old. At 10 years old, you should have been in 4th grade learning more than 2 + 2. And clearly, Crocker was teaching a remedial class because he had to dumb it down for the rest of the kids. He taught to the grade average. And AJ was there to make sure that the grade curve was fair for everyone else who got an F. All of their grades averaged out based off of AJ's grade.
AJ's one overall grade in that kids is not gonna do what you think it's gonna do. It's gonna raise it from an F to it's gonna raise it from a low F to a high F. It's still gonna be an F. Like, I don't think AJ's grade by itself is bringing the class to a D. And even then, I have serious questions. But I said what I said. I rest my case. Like, I'm ready. I'm honestly ready for you to rule, Your Honor.
Your Honor, all I'd like to say is
Mhm.
that we will take the mental insanity plea because clearly Crocker is insane. I'm not arguing against the things that he's done. I'm just saying the reason that he's done the things that he's done is because he's had a mental break. And in a world where we want to say, well, people need to get help and people need this and people need that, he tries and he's trying to get this. He's seeing therapists. He's doing the things that he should be doing, and he's still being looked at as if, why would you do this? What are you doing? Why is this happening? What is this that's happening to you? And all Crocker wants to do is just be Crocker. Crocker just wants to live a happy life. And isn't that what we all deserve? Now let's get Crocker locked away, far away from Timmy, and the secret wish that he's locked him in. Keep that in mind, Your Honor. Crocker can't age, he can't change, he can't do anything but be locked in this secret wish because Timmy wished that they're stuck for 50 years, where he's the only one that knows that something's up. He's telling them, and no one's believing him for over 50 years. You know. So in Crocker's time, that's the 20 from when, minimal 20 from when he was a kid, and it was the 70s, because let's just say, no, that'd be 30. Because Fairly Odd Parents debuted in 04. So if we're going off of their debut, Crocker would be about 40 years old. So Crocker's lived through about 90 years of fairies, and no one's ever believed him. Do you know how heartbreaking that is to know that your reality's different? No one believes you, and you're right, but you're the crazy guy?
Again, you can only react to how you are. You can only be responsible for how you react to something, not necessarily what happens to you.
Yeah, I rest my case on that.
Judging what I know, I will say that we can definitely take the insanity plea only because there is a bigger menace there in that town, in that world, that's doing more damage than good. And knowing that, I mean, we can only give him what we can give him. I don't know the actual time that we would give him or what we would be able to do for him. But I think that this case shouldn't have been the way it should have been. I think that there's somebody else that should have been more or less
Culpable.
on trial. And since, well, I can't say who's going to do what, but I can tell you, yeah, I think Crocker definitely can bypass this. He definitely insane and needs more help than him going to jail. It wouldn't really help him, so he wouldn't get charged.
Your Honor, in the spirit and justice of saying such, I would like to suggest something.
Listen.
I'd like to put the real culprit up. I'd be the plaintiff, the real culprit of all of these crimes that take place, and hold him to an actual trial for more crimes than what he has been charged for in his secret wish and actually breaking the rules in Fairly Odd Parents in their wishes.
I mean, that sounds like something that's in the jurisdiction of the parents, not necessarily, us. But I'm sure we'll find someone to defend Timmy Turner in anime court. But honestly, look, if he wants to get Denzel Crocker off on an insanity plea, fine. But I would like to make that release conditional. Mm-hmm. If he reoffends, throw the book at him.
A win's a win. A win's a win.
You know what? A win's a win. Huh? All right, fine.
We did it. We do.
We did it.
That's not.
So listen, this has been a great and fun episode. We had a lot of fun putting Denzel Crocker on trial. If there are more people that you'd like to see, because there are a ton of different cartoons and anime characters and people in general that need to be on trial, let us know. We're always here. We're always down for suggestions. I am very full on, like, you know, taking criticism, taking critique, listening to what you people. Sorry, not you people. Sorry, I've been clearly having.
People.
You people is always the wrong word. But what D people, what I meant to say is D people, not you people, never you people. What D people want to hear. So the people have the final say. I've always been a man of the people and thought to myself, hey, we should all come together for this because this is for the community. It's for the tribe. And as such, we'd love to hear it. Like, who deserves to be up here next? I would put anyone from Pepe Le Pew because that boy is guilty. They removed him from Looney Tunes and everything because of his crimes.
Exactly. There's no need to charge Pepe Le Pew with anything else because Warner Brothers took care of it for us. Honestly, that's probably like the whole
Warner
thing.
Brothers.
That's probably
You excited for the
What's up?
Right. You excited for the Acme movie? Like I really want to see that Acme
Coyote
versus
Acme, bro. I'm so excited. I'm so fucking excited. I was just talking to one of my friends about that the other day, and they were like, wait, what? Yes, Wile E. Coyote is going to sue the Acme company.
As he should.
I wish I fucking thought of it.
Oh, that's the most hilarious thing ever. Like when I heard that it's a concept, like one of my friends said it, and she's like, we don't talk enough about Wile E. Coyote suing the Acme company. And I'm like, he's suing the Acme company?
She's
like,
I can't fucking wait.
We were too many years too late. But it's a funny ass idea. I can't wait to see that movie. We have a few more cons to go to. Yo, how excited are y'all for Anime NYC?
Oh yeah, it's super excited. Everything's locked in. The room's booked, the plane's booked. It's gonna be a time. I haven't been in New York in a couple of years. I can't wait.
So at this point, it's not gonna be as big news, but like they announced Corey Kenshin's coming. So like I imagine it's gonna get pretty crazy. Corey Kenshin, Nancy Flanagan, which is the voice of Naruto, the voice of Gojo is gonna be there, the voice of Cinnamoroll and Karomi from Santa Rio is gonna be there, the voice of Nezuko, the whole cast of Don to Don. Luffy's gonna be in the building, Vegeta's gonna be in the building. Like you get all these people at one con, and it's all gonna get crazy. And like Anime NYC, I feel like is just kicking off, and I can't wait to see everybody there.
Nope, can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be a time. To our knowledge, it is going to be minimally the three of us. You may see a butterscotch baddie floating around in the background somewhere. He may or may not appear like a fairy. Yeah. But
you broke up a little bit there. You said Britt was coming up allegedly, maybe,
possibly, potentially. Like you may see her. I didn't say she wasn't going to be there. I said you may see her. Y'all definitely gonna see her at the club, but like otherwise, you may or may not see her at the con. Catch her on like a Sunday when there isn't 100,000 people wearing down on her.
She may be running around New York doing New York.
Oh no, she's definitely running around New York.
I respect the fuck out of that though. So no, it's cool.
Hey, listen, there's some Broadway gonna hate to see us coming. You hear me?
That's right. We need to talk about that. You know what? Let's wrap this up. We gotta
wrap this up. We can talk about a show after this. We got to talk about a show after a show. Listen, this has been great. You guys have been wonderful. We appreciate you all. We'll see you at Anime NYC. It'll be the next time we're all together. And if you're looking for me, you can find me on Instagram at Blurred X Trap House. You can find me on Facebook at UNAB Network, and you can find me on TikTok at Blurred X Trap House. Mikey, where can they find you at, kind sir?
Pretty much anywhere that Spook the Villain. That's pretty much the tag and moniker I go by.
Good one. We should get you buttons or something made.
We'll see about that.
We'll have to look into it. Dwight, where can they find you at?
Oh, I'm here on UNAB in Blur Trap House every week.
Every week.
Anime Court. Whenever we
got a case for you.
Whenever it's
Say whenever we got a case for you. Whenever we have a case for you.
No. Look, if justice needs to be served, I'll be there. That's one thing that I can say I'm consistent on.
Well, you know,
you didn't get it today, but it's all right. Like I said, I understand where you're coming from. But if he reoffends, he needs to go. He needs to go.
I took Ryan to the zoo, and we always joke, and I say, there was a goat at the petting zoo, and it was me. I was at the zoo. And he's like, no, I'm the goat. You see me at the zoo.
I'm not. Don't worry about it.
Well, just know, you see me at the zoo. We out, folks.